We are at Small Grain Institute, Bethlehem, and I am Astrid Jankielsohn, and I work at Small Grain in the crop protection section, and I work specifically on entomology. I'm a senior researcher here, and our focus is mainly on wheat and barley, all the small grains, oats, and I work on, I concentrate on Russian wheat aphid, which is a global pest on wheat. What I do is I do surveys in the wheat production areas of South Africa, and I collect these aphids in these areas, and then I bring them back to small grain in the glass house. I do screenings, and then I keep the biotype populations, the clone colonies, in the glass house. And we also do, the reason for this research is because of resistance breeding. We breed resistance into the wheat, the DN genes, but over time the aphid overcomes this resistance. Aphids are generally the most damaging pests in agriculture because they are very adaptable, and they adapt under certain pressures. And if there's resistance against them, they overcome this resistance. And at this stage, we already have 5 biotypes in the Eastern Free State wheat production areas where resistant wheat has been deployed. In the Western Cape, there's only 1 biotype. They never had this development of biotypes because they never relied on genetic resistance in their crops. They relied on chemical management of these aphids. But now there's a real chance of, because these aphids are so adaptable and they adapt to pressures and also to changes in the environment, there's a chance that there might be insecticide resistance as a result of pressure from the pesticides. So the other project that I'm doing is to look at insecticide resistance in Russian wheat aphid. So there's also another project that I'm looking at. As an entomologist, I realize that it's my responsibility because I see the challenges in agriculture and I see the problems. So a big problem that's a global problem is our biodiversity. It's a biodiversity problem. We're losing our biodiversity, and especially in insects. And we need these insects with their ecosystem services to be able to produce our food. If you think about your decomposers, your pollinators, your predators, those are the groups that we need. So I think because agriculture is the main reason why this is happening, it's for our biodiversity loss, we need to find the solutions in agriculture, and we need to change certain practices to save our biodiversity, to be able to produce sustainable food and to have food security. If we lose more of our biodiversity, we will not have food security because we need them to produce our crops. So like I mentioned, I bring back aphid samples from the fields, and then I screen them to determine the biotype. And these are different biotypes that I keep here in the glass house. They're from different production areas. So you can see with this plant the damage that the Russian wheat aphid do on wheat. At first you see the symptoms as striping, but then the leaves roll with the aphids feeding, and the damage if it's very severe on a wheat field, this rolling causes, if it's in a seedling stage, before flag leaf, the rolling causes the ear to be trapped in the rolled leaf. And that's the way the farmer loses a lot of yield on his wheat. There's something personal about me. I am vegan, so my favorite dish would be a vegan dish. I would say my favorite South African dish would be a nice vegan stew. We get lots of different tasty vegetables, South African vegetables that we can put in that stew. The people that I would invite to this supper would be Gandhi, because he's also vegan. I have read a lot of books written by him. I've read about his life. He's been an inspiration for me. And I would love to talk to him and have a discussion with him on his beliefs and his views about the world. No matter what the pressure he had, he always believed in peace, and he always solved problems, not with violence, but with peace. Probably the other person a bit more scientific, that I would invite would be Darwin. And I would love to discuss his, as in my work, I see a lot of evolution in insects and insect changing. I would love to discuss some of his ideas on evolution and how pressure in the environment changes animals and you get new species. So those are the people that I would love to talk to over a nice stew.
Come in, Fortuna. Some rough terrain coming up. Engage 4x4.
Roger that. Engaged.
Mission complete, Dad.
The all-new Toyota Fortuna. Reimagine the luxury of freedom.